today we're welcoming a member of Bind who actually sings great birthday present. Yeah,
I can take advantage of that.
Yeah.
If you want to close out, that's fine.
Well, you already hear his voice, so you know it's good. He has been a member of Bind for several years now, and he actually has his story written in Bind's first book, which is Bind Us Together. So welcome, Nate.
Thank you.
We are so excited to have you here as our guest.
You bet. I'm happy to be here as well.
Yay.
Yay, that's good. So Nate, I know you wrote your book or your story already on the book,
Okay.
but can you share us a little bit of your story because our listeners don't really know you? So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so October 2nd of 2016, so I'm on, I guess, number 7 year since I had a severe traumatic brain injury where I fractured my skull and then started life over. God blessed me with another shot.
Yeah, I love it. I actually think that Carrie told me, like as a little heads up, that your story was titled "The Do-Over."
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting a second opportunity at life, and so God kept me healthy somehow. I was a 1% chance of staying alive. So here I am.
Well, I guess, Nate, give us a little bit more like what kind of, I mean, I know it's traumatic brain injury, but like what happened? Because it's kind of crazy.
Well, I don't really remember because I was the only person there when it supposedly happened. I was at the fall downstairs, and then I guess I was down there bleeding out for an hour before they were able to get me to the hospital. But luckily, I was taken to Parkland, which is one of the greatest brain injury recovery at the time, and then I was able to. Anyway, I was in a coma for 6 months, in a vegetative state for another 6 months, and then once I was ready to start rehabilitation, went down to Tier in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I've never heard much about it in Houston, but can you tell us a little bit about like who you were before that accident? Like, yeah, and plus, why are you wearing that T-shirt in purple all the time?
This is all represented all the time, which is TCU, graduated in 2002, so it's been a long, long time. And your question was again?
Yeah, like who were you before the accident? You know, like,
I was Nate before the accident. No, I was doing marketing in dermatology. Worked for like 4 companies, doing pharmaceutical sales and marketing.
So you're really good at talking to people and singing?
Well, the singing, yes, but I was able to sell dermatology products and then start marketing them.
That's pretty cool. So
it was nice to have a job back then and be able to do stuff.
Sure.
Get paid.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think right now here at Bind, I know that right now we're kind of like going a little bit fast forward to how you're living life now. But with what you're saying, with what you did before, like did the accident you have like really have any effect on that? Your previous life and now the life that you're living now that you were able to do over?
No, life started over, which means I had to relearn everything.
Right.
So that took time. And then I'm not at the point where I can get back to work yet, especially at the same level where I was. So that's what's kept me back from getting back to work at this point.
Is that a goal?
Sure, as long as I can find a company that's willing to
work with me.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah, I think that like everyone has like a different set of like needs, right? And like when is a time to go back to work and like to live as close as possible, if not better, with the life that you lived before. So what are some of those difficulties or challenges that you're currently holding that, you know, is putting that pause or just putting that hold, not a pause, just a little hold?
Well, I find sometimes I'm regressing, and one of them was aphasia that has come back and affected me again. So I'm going back to speech therapy to work on that again.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just let you know, I haven't noticed that at all when I've been around you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. So
Yeah, and I actually with aphasia, I think that I think you and I had this conversation before about aphasia and like the different that it's sometimes not noticeable. Like for me, it's the reading part, and for you, what part of aphasia is like are you having difficulty with?
It's just when I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm wanting to say certain words, and then that one word goes out of my mind, and I have to, basically retelling the story or just give more hints of what it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, the giving the hints is like the important part, and for people to know that. One of my friends had told me it's like playing. I don't know if category is the right word, but you know, you give words and you try to make your friend guess what word you're saying.
That's a nice way to play.
Yeah,
Not efficiently speaking, but it's good.
Yeah, I mean that's my game every day. I'm like, you know that one word that's like starts with a K. That's basically what I have to do if I don't remember. Right. But with speech therapy, what are they recommending you to do to be better at it? I mean, if you're noticing that it's happening again, or you're like...
Well, the very first thing is I have to write down everything. Because when I'm writing things down as well as saying them, it comes together.
Right.
Otherwise, just keep trying and keep practicing every day.
Yeah, I think that's good. Then make sure to tell people to be really patient, right?
Well, it is what it is with people being patient. And they're patient more after they know the story than they would before.
Well, sure. That's kind of true for all of us. I'm going to back up just a little bit. So I know you said you were in a coma for a year?
Now, 6 months.
6 months. Okay, well, I don't have
the
a
vegetative state, another 6 months.
Oh,
so it was like
okay.
half a
So
year
it
of my
was
life.
It was a long time. So what was recovery like after that? I mean, I guess recovery is still the same, maybe just a little slower to start with because it took longer for you to even get to start recovery.
Well, once I got to start recovering it down to tears, when I really had great success, and again, learning everything, I was able to catch up, even eating on my own.
Yeah.
I had to have trach taken out so I could breathe on my own. Just a number of things that were happening, and they took time to go through, and I'm going to keep learning and getting better the rest of my life.
That's true. Well, we all kind of figured that part out, that recovery is forever,
It's long,
which is not bad. You know, that means that we're always getting better. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. Absolutely. So I know we all kind of have to relearn everything, but what, I guess I'm going to say, aphasia has been your biggest challenge that you had to deal with. Did you have any, like, physical limitations afterwards?
I was blessed with physical. I mean, once I learned how to walk again.
Right.
You can't stop me now. I'm walking everywhere.
Right. So you did have some issues where you did have to relearn how to walk. Okay.
Sure. Well, walk, eat, all your basics.
Okay. That's why I tell everyone, after a brain injury, you basically start over as a child and everything. That's the great thing about neuroplasticity. Those brain waves, figuring out, they're the ones that we used when we were teeny tiny toddlers, and we just find new ones now.
Yep. Your body will circulate where it was moving before. Like my right eye is blind, but my left eye is able to compensate for it.
Oh, wow.
And that's what your brain does with different situations as well. So
yeah, how do you know that your brain oh my gosh, see, aphasia, I'm saying the wrong words. How did you know that your right eye?
Well, when I couldn't see out of it.
Yeah, what you're saying.
No, and I really thought I still had a vision in my right eye for a long time until I closed the left, and then there's nothing
there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
Well, you don't notice it because
you can't, like,
an eye open.
Right.
But when I close the left, it's over.
Interesting. For me, I think that I didn't know that the stroke affected my vision because I couldn't tell people.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't tell people that I see everything twice. Like, it was just like, it was crazy. Until I started, like, trying to read, and I was always missing the end of the sentences because I can't see to my right side.
Okay.
So you just noticed it once you try to close your...
Well, when I closed my left eye, I couldn't see anything.
Okay.
And then I was asking questions like, did they cut my optic nerve, or was this something from the injury? And apparently it was something, somehow I tore off my optic nerve at the same time as fracturing my skull. So it was a good time.
Yeah. See, mine, I think, was a little more obvious with my left neglect is they figured that out pretty quick when I kept running into the left wall.
Okay.
And then the same as Kezzy, I couldn't read anything on the left side of the page, but so we all kind of have those same things.
But it's amazing we all are recovering.
Right?
Yeah, and we all figure out what to do to cover that up, right? Or to make, that makes sense.
That's part of the reasons why I attend binds, because we're all in the same boat.
Right.
And nobody's making fun of each other for having a deficit or anything. So.
And that brings us up to one of our other questions. Which we all know that bind is recovery after recovery, but how did you hear about bind?
Rehab Without Walls.
Okay.
So when I was having them come to my house and help with rehabilitation, they brought me to bind and told me about it, and at first when it cost us money, I was like, what am I going to do to pay money to go do work?
Yeah.
But I learned very quickly the purpose of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually think I'm going to put you a little bit on pause, just to remind our guests that we are available every Thursday to be having a podcast updated. So make sure to like us, follow us, and tell all your friends to continue to prescribe us and connect with us on Thursdays on your social platforms. So I actually wanted to ask you a question also about Bind.
Please ask questions.
Yeah. So, so you mentioned how you got in contact with it through Rehab Without Walls, and we've had Rehab Without Walls as our guest before, like people from there, and the recovery through that. How has Binds been a really good resource for you? Like after the after the recovery that you were having with Rehab?
Yeah, just getting into a regular daily schedule. In some ways, I come here thinking I'm going to work, so it replaces the actual work. The people here we're all in the same boat, so we all become friends and work together to run the clubhouse.
Yeah, but you do actually work. It's not like you just come here and hang out.
No, that's what I mean. I'm coming here to work.
Right.
So that's why I think about
and
it.
You do, so that's good. So maybe what area do you like to work in at Bind?
I work in typically O&A, so I'm missing it. O&A.
Yes.
Outreach and
and
advocacy.
Outreach and advocacy. See?
Nope,
There's
it's
the
okay.
aphasia coming in.
You know what? I don't have aphasia, and I do that with outreach and advocacy. I've called it all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah. So what do you do at Outreach and Advocacy?
So we have a lot of emails, people with questions and wanting information. So the outreach comes in there. The advocacy, we go and not make calls. We go and have presentations of our stories with other rehab sitters like Pate and Baylor and all the rehab places that are in the area. Share information about Bind as the next step after they get out of rehab.
Sure.
Yeah, and then basically with the goal of having more members coming
Sure.
into the clubhouse and being a resource to a lot of people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think that's how I understood outreach and advocacy when I first coming here. There's communications, that it's like the internal communication, the people member to member, and then O&A,
Yeah.
outreach and
Outreach.
advocacy for like the people outside of Bind
Sure.
to learn more about the members. So,
Right.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty cool.
That's the purpose of this, is to learn about
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Right.
technically our podcast is a little bit of outreach and advocacy because
Yes.
that's one of the main
That's
things.
why I'm here.
Outreach and advocacy also want to do is we want to educate not just new survivors, but just our listeners in general who maybe don't really understand about brain injury and
We
how
have
common it
family members
is.
that are
Right.
having it, and I'm sure a lot of people taking care of patients with TBIs are listening in just to
Yeah.
get extra information.
And I know that's a lot of what we want our outreach and advocacy within the clubhouse to do is if you have questions, if you don't want to, if you can email bindwaves or you can email our outreach and advocacy group or call us and ask questions. We're here to educate and help however we can.
We have a ton of resources to share.
Yes, I agree. And right now, I think it's been really awesome that you're mentioning of how like Bind has been this resource for you, and how you've been able to come here and really feel better about like working and all of that. But what is like your most recent goal, for your personal goal?
You know, we got to ask one tricky question.
I think to get some productive hobbies.
Oh yeah, like
That's what if I'm not at work, what am I doing all day? And that's one reason why I come to Bind. But I have to develop some more resources that I can do for myself, since I'm not working and waiting that out.
Well, looking
you
at
have
that
any-
shirt, you can find lots of hobbies. Look at my shirt. That's my hobby.
Well, this isn't a hobby. This is just a university.
Well, but there are things you could do
Oh yeah, I
with the
go to the
university.
games and watch them
Could-
lose.
Or maybe there's a volunteer job you could do there.
Yeah, looking into those things, and we do that here at Bind as well.
Right. Yeah.
Just a thought of my head, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fellow sports fan.
Yeah, that's like her number one thing, I think. If no one's noticed her green shirts, that's her goal. That's her hobby.
Go
That's
Stars.
my hobby.
Go Stars. All right. So do you have like any advice? I know that you now as an ONA, like focused in that unit here at Bind. Do you have any advice for either care workers or for more recent brain injury survivors that you would like to share?
Patience is the number one thing.
Yeah.
So from other people, you're going to need some patience, but you have to be patient with yourself and your improvement along the way. Because you may go along the way and you're doing well, things that you always used to do just fine that you end up struggling with. And sometimes it can make you upset because like, this is something that's easy. Why am I struggling with it? So being patient with yourself is also very important.
Yeah. And for caregivers, like I know that, for caregivers, how would that be the same that you would want them to hear about brain injury survivors?
Sure, yeah, especially if it's affecting them personally or in their family. I mean, the brain is the strangest thing in the world. Nobody knows everything about the brain, and everybody's injury is completely different, and so their recovery is completely different. So there's not one way you can advise people on how things are going to go.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I think it's really important for that. And I think that's also something that I loved about recovery and the patience that my family has towards me, and the importance of other therapists to be sharing that, because that is so needed, to be patient and letting us answer the questions and letting us say the wrong words and fix the right words and all of that stuff. So honestly, thank you so much, Nate. I wanted to really thank you for being here and sharing your story again in a different perspective, speaking to us. So I hope with your story inspires others and continues to be a resource for others.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we're so glad you're here, Nate. Thank you. And if you would like to contact us, again, you can email us at bindwaves@thebind.org. Follow us on Instagram at bindwaves and visit our website at thebind.org/bindwaves. Again, any questions, concerns you have, any thoughts, ideas, feel free to email us there at any time. You want us to come speak to you about brain injury, give us an email. We'll send it over to Nate and Outreach and Advocacy.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe to your favorite platform, and also hit that notify button on YouTube for listening to Bindwaves. So thank you.
Thank you. And don't forget, every Thursday you can find our new episodes on all of your favorite platforms. So until next time.
Until next time.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to Bind Waves and continue to support Bind and our nonprofit mission.
We support brain injury survivors as they reconnect into the life, the community, and their workplace.
And we couldn't do that without great listeners like you. We appreciate each and every one of you. Continue watching. Until next time.
Until next time.